everybody. Welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. It is your weekend edition. Hope you had a fantastic trading week out there. It has been a remarkable one. New highs every day for the S&P 500. Haven't seen that in quite a few years. There's a lot to talk about today. I've got a plethora of questions, a lot of which coming in from Bitcoin side of things. So I will try not to make this a total Bitcoin and crypto show. I know some of you, again, still don't like it. That's okay. Hopefully I'll clear up some of those questions. And I also have a lot to talk about for next week. As you guys know, we've got a major reshuffling of the Dow happening on Monday. You also have Apple splits, Tesla splits. Holy goodness, there's a lot going on. But before all of that, cheers! Happy Friday, everybody. Hello, Terry and Big Gab, Jorge, Gary, Mike, Tomasina, as well as many others who I'm sure are lurking in the shadows, and many more will be joining us soon. Pepe, good to have you as well, my friend. How's Southern California life treating you? It's beautiful out there today. Oban 14, by the way. One of the best. I love Oban. All right, today's topic is going to be all over the place. You guys can see I've got the trading week wrap up here with the Apple vomiting out 4 small little apples. Well, that's pretty much what's happening. That's the big story. That actually, as of tonight, will be the number of the price that Apple splits at. So, as you guys may have seen, Apple had a pretty aggressive sell-off right at the end, closing just below $500. It was $499. So, in theory, Monday morning, everyone who owned Apple shares tonight, and it doesn't matter when you bought it, there's an ownership date. There's these 3 dates that you have to think about with regards to a stock split. Doesn't matter when you bought it. If you own the shares right now, you will get this 4-to-1 split. So if you had 100 shares in your account, you would now have 250 shares. And you're thinking, you had 400 shares. It goes the opposite, not a reverse split. You'd have 400 shares. You're thinking, that's great. I have 400 now times, let's call it $500. No, it's now going to be $125. So it's just the simple math behind it. You also have Tesla as well. So Tesla's doing a 5-for-1 split. They closed at $2,213, which means opening price should be right around $442 on Monday morning. Now, I'll talk more about the shuffling of the deck. I'll keep the shuffling of the deck with regard to the Dow for the end of the show. I want to start off with going into a lot of the cryptocurrency side of things, because you guys have been asking me a lot about Bitcoin, and I'm hoping I can shed some light into any area of confusion. And I also want to show you guys, you've heard me talk a lot about why GBTC is not maybe the best thing to be buying. That's a Bitcoin trust. I'll show you the math behind that and explain why. So let's go. I'm just going to go run through the list, guys. There's no particular rhyme or reason to these ones today. Aiden says, I have some BTC in my wallet bought from individuals like Binance or Coinbase. There was a news yesterday that the IRS modified the tax form for 2020, and they're asking if you bought or sold any crypto in a year that you have to now be reporting it. What do you think the impact will be? I always looked to Bitcoin as an asset that the government could not include themselves in, basically asking for tax. Well, they are considering it an investment vehicle, so it's going to be a buy and a sell, a transaction. So they want to know about your transaction. So if you're at Coinbase, those transactions are going to be reported to the IRS, or should be reported to the IRS. I know there was a lawsuit a couple years ago, and I believe it had to do with a certain amount of threshold of transactions per year. But honestly, I don't trust Coinbase with that regard. I'm sure everything is now going to be reported. There's other ones out there where you might be able to remain anonymous, and because this is such a public show, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of how to remain anonymous. Certainly, I don't want to bring on any extra attention from regulatory agencies to my Bitcoin holdings. Bottom line was, one of my CPAs, he said, look, as long as you declare what you bought or sold and have it transparent, because at the beginning of the whole crypto thing, guys, I was doing hundreds of transactions. I was buying on one exchange, sending it over here, converting it to another cryptocurrency, not necessarily to be trading and investing, but to understand the mechanics of how you transfer private keys, how all that stuff works. So I was making hundreds of transactions. So I certainly would do everything in your power to not dodge the IRS. Nobody wants the wrath of the Internal Revenue Service. If you are, let's just say hypothetically, that you are trying to hide this from the IRS and you're trying to keep that money out of their grasp. Well, if you bought it on anything that's trackable back to you, including some of the ATMs where they now have your phone number and driver's license, that now can be tracked back to you. However, weird. If you went to one of these Bitcoin ATMs, I'm hoping I have you guys here. It just says disconnected and reconnected, and I don't see any glitches on my streaming software, so that was really bizarre. Hopefully that didn't mess with anybody. If you have a disposable phone, because a lot of it now, if you go to these Bitcoin ATMs, you can be using, I was buffering, cool, well, at least we're back. You can use a cell phone. Of course, your cell phone is now tracked back to you. But what if you got a burner phone? Haha, If you got a burner phone, you could now buy Bitcoin with the burner phone and cash. Of course, there's cameras on the ATM. And now that, in theory, would be away from the IRS, would you need to report it? It all depends on what your goals are, right? If you're the type of person that's trying to hide that money, remove it from your so-called quote-unquote system and just kind of have this Bitcoin stash that nobody knows about, there are definitely ways to do it. All my stuff is above board. I'm not so concerned with trying to hide stuff from the IRS. And when it comes down to it, I have a spreadsheet of all the how much I bought cryptos at and how much I sold. And ultimately, if they want to audit all those paper trails, I'm going to let them. But I certainly would be above board and report it. You know, and we do make the argument that this is something they can't touch. They want to tax it, but they can't take it from you. You know, honestly, if the IRS came to you or if the government came to you and said, we're going to seize your Bitcoins, what do you have to do? If you hold the private keys, so for example, I got my little Nano Ledger S over here. Let me bring this one up for you. I got this little guy right here, right? So this one right here has my Bitcoin Gold, and Litecoin on it. Right? I have 3 cryptos on this. If the government were to somehow come and seize all my assets, they're not going to get this. Because, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the private key. I forgot the access code, and now it technically just disappears. So, you know, unless they get your passcode somehow or your private keys, you know, they can't touch it. They can't take it away from you. So, Aiden, I would definitely be above board. Report to the IRS. Don't let them come after you and really shut you down. In Canada, we cannot do FIFO accounting. Oh, I leave it to the IRS. Again, if they want to audit me, you know, there's a massive amount of work that they're going to have to do that I just don't want to do. Token tax. All right. I guess Brendan knows that software. I don't do any of that stuff. I just... Here's what I bought it at. Here's what I sold it at. Let's see. Next question. And I'm going to try to rifle through these crypto questions. This is from Brian. It says, I recently opened an account with Coinbase Pro, and I'm looking to start buying Bitcoin, which will be a new investment for me. My main concern is the loss of private keys, being hacked, etc. Would you have any general information you could share with me on the best way to start buying, i.e. small amounts, so I have separate private keys, different coin platforms and providers, etc.? Basically, gentleman's trying to spread his risk around. So let me just tell you this. If you have to find a way to buy into the crypto space. That's one of the more challenging pieces, right? If you go into, let's say, Coinbase Pro, which is where I would myself be buying in because of the lower fees and it's US, they have the private keys. So I showed you the Coinbase Pro platform the other day, right? I'll bring this back up for you guys just so you can see. Should have had it all prepped for you. But I didn't. Coinbase Pro. I'll bring this one in, log in, and show you. They have a good amount of my cryptocurrency is sitting there. I think I have like 30 or 40 grand. I don't know. It moves so quickly, you never know how much you have with these darn things. But here is the Coinbase Pro account, right? So you can see right now I have about 2.15 Bitcoins in this account. Let me see if I can go to portfolios. Right now, this is a $42,000 account. Right? Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to click on here and show you any of my keys so you have no access to it. But bottom line is, there's 42 grand right here that Coinbase Pro is holding on to. That 42,000 is at risk at any moment in time because they have the private keys. They basically, however they do it in the back end from a security perspective, they do a lot of things in the back end. I don't know what it is, but their job at this point is to protect our private keys. So hopefully, are we still buffering? It's weird. I'm showing no buffering issues at all. Drop frame rates. Huh. I'm going to figure out what's going on here. Got fiber optic ain't working so well there, is it? Again, they have all the private keys. So if there's any problem with that, if they were to get hacked or somebody internally decided to steal some Bitcoins with the private keys from inside, that could happen. I'll tell you this, though. Coinbase is pushing to be the largest crypto exchange in the US, and they're making great progress. They've got venture capitalists behind it. So my guess is security is number one with them, right? They're going to do everything in their power to keep it as secure as possible. Know that it's not FDIC insured, Mike. Absolutely not FDIC insured. So that's a risk you have to take. Now, if you want to go other routes and you want to, let me see. Let me see if there's anything on here. I'm going to just cover this up because I don't want to, I'm not sure if this has been zeroed or not. So let me just hide my private key from you guys. You guys can scan it and check. If you don't want it on the exchange, you can print a paper wallet. This is an example of a paper wallet. And over here on the side, there's another little QR code like that. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because I'm not sure if this has been zeroed out. Honestly, I don't even know how much is on here. Usually I put one Bitcoin on, so this could be, a $11,000 piece of paper. But basically, you have your public key, and then your private key. And the only way to access this account here is with this. So the only way on earth that someone could get this is if they have this piece of paper, or if for some reason they magically cracked SHA-256 algorithm and got in, which I don't think is going to happen. That piece of paper, in my opinion, is far safer than what's at Coinbase because I'm the only one who has it. Same thing with these Nano Ledger S's, or as Brendan will tell you, the Trezor, right? These are totally in my possession. I control it. The private keys are mine. So if it's a small amount, I'm not so worried about it. I actually put that the crypto on this other exchange here on Coinbase Pro because I wanted to do more active trading of it. So, I put in what I have. I've got 304 Litecoin and about 2.25 Bitcoin. That's my kind of active trading account. But I also have some at Coinbase. I've got some at about 6 other exchanges around the world that I'll probably consolidate at some point. A lot of it, though, is on storage that I control. So, Brian, if you want to spread your risk around, you got to find out if it's something that you want to buy and hold. So, like Brendan that's with us today, if you want to store it and keep it in your possession, get yourself one of these little hardware wallets, right? Especially if it's a lot, you're not going to move it. For example, I've got several Bitcoin. I know I'm just never going to, I'll hold those for years and years and years. That'll be my retirement account when it finally gets there. Why would I want to keep it on an exchange? I know I'm not going to move it, so I will keep it right here. Yeah, I'm a little bit heavy on the Litecoin. I got in at a good price. But anyway, it's a risk, right? Do I want to take the risk of the exchange, such as Coinbase or Binance, keeping control of all of that, or even an app on your phone? Or do you want to control it? If you're someone who loses pieces of paper and you can't remember codes, then goodness gracious, don't do it yourself because you lose it and it is all over. I mean, it's done. If for some reason, I have this paper wallet right here. Let's just say that somehow this paper wallet got ripped, and all I have left is this last little piece right here. Oh, actually, no, you could actually see the code right there. So if someone was clever, I might have to go zero this one out before someone takes it. I'll check here in a minute and see if it's actually got money on it. You're going to have to bear with me because if you just notice what I just did, it was an extremely careless and stupid mistake. By the time that you guys could figure it out, it'll probably be too late. But let me real quickly show you what I did. I'm going to zero this out if there's anything here because what I showed you was at the bottom of that, there's a string of characters. And if you were to pause this video, type in that whole string of characters, which is like, I don't know, it's probably 40 or 50 characters, you would have my private key for that wallet. So I want to make sure that one isn't zeroed out. I don't want to take up the time on the show. Let me see if I can scan a QR code and get that to... Okay, but let me bring it in. Okay, good. So it's empty. Sorry, guys, I scared the crap out of myself. So I'll show you the secret key. This is a private key. You guys see at the bottom, there's a string of characters down below it. Had you gotten that before I noticed it and there was money on here, you could easily have just take that. I know, Mike, you wouldn't do it, but it's just, do I want to throw away 11 grand? Not really. And I would never know where it went from you guys. So anyway, that's how those private key. Tom says, what if your dog eats it? Sure. What if I was sitting here drinking my whiskey? I got my little glass of whiskey here, and some water got on the QR code, and all of a sudden it smeared a little bit. I'm done. I mean, you talk about losing your mind. It's like, God, the watermark or just one of the letters gets messed up. So, shut up, Brendan. Leave me alone, Brendan. So, anyway, just wanted to show you that one. So, Brian, that's why I like these hardware wallets a little bit better. I did have a problem with one of these. I was actually updating the software. Tomasina, I'm hoping I make you nervous. I mean, it is, if you guys just have to be so careful, right? It's a totally different ballgame. When you put your money in a bank, it's insured. If they screw up, whatever, the bank's got you covered. With this, you are the bank. So you have to make sure you don't screw up. On one of these Nano Ledger S's, I actually had a bunch of Bitcoin. I actually think it's this one with my Bitcoin and Litecoin, which is much bigger than what I have at this. I have about 100 grand on this guy. It froze. It completely locked up, and I was losing my mind. I was like, oh no, am I going to lose? I mean, this is $100,000 at this point. I don't want to just throw it away. My God. And I went and followed all the instructions. You can reinstall some stuff. There's a list of keywords. I think it's 24 words that they give you when you open the device. You type in all those words correctly, and it restored it. Oh, thank goodness everything was there. So I'm definitely a fan of these. I think Brendan will also back me up on that one. So saying that the hardware wallet's probably the better way to go. All right, more questions. Sorry, I'm rambling on here. I actually scared myself with that Bitcoin thing. I thought I showed you a hot wallet there, which you could have just easily taken that money out. Okay, Rudy says, how can we buy or trade Bitcoin when you can only trade equities? Certainly. I memorized my treasure key with only a few finger movements, says Brendan. Absolutely. There you go. Rudy says, how can we buy Bitcoin or trade Bitcoin when you only have an equities account? Great question. If you only have an equities account and you do not want to open another account, then you're stuck. The main one, the one that most people will talk about, is called GBTC. GBTC is a trust fund that basically buys actual Bitcoin and holds them in an account. And I've told you that there's a little bit of a problem with that because in many cases you're paying a premium. So let me just go over here. I want to show you something really cool. I love this. This will tell you why you should stay away from GBTC. Let's go to Coinbase here. I'll go over to TradingView, and I'm going to click on Bitcoin's price chart. So you guys all see right now that Bitcoin is trading at 11,000. I'm going to call it 11,500 just to keep it easy. It's actually 11,493.08 cents. So that's the price that you'd want to be paying right now if you were to buy Bitcoin. But people go, well, I don't have a cryptocurrency account. I'm telling you, it's easy as pie to open one up. Just go open an account and put a couple $1,000s or however much you're comfortable with and start there. But if you absolutely do not want to do that, then you can go over here and look at GBTC. And you're thinking, oh, wow, it's only $13.20 a coin or per share. That's a deal. A lot of people don't even know what they're buying. You're just buying GBTC because it says Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Well, what you don't know is, or you may not know, is this is really 1/1000th of a Bitcoin. So if you're due to math, that means that for them, each Bitcoin is $13,200. Well, wait a minute. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to look at Bitcoin. And if you see what I'm doing in the upper left-hand side, it's pretty awesome. Bitcoin, I'm going to subtract. I'm going to go GBTC times 1,000. And this should tell me what the spread is. Basically, what's it showing right now is how much of a premium or discount you'd be buying it at. You guys see right here where my cursor is, that's the 0 line. Anything above that line, you would actually be buying Bitcoin at a discount if you bought GBTC. Right now, you're paying a $1,700 premium per Bitcoin to buy GBTC. Does that make sense, everybody? $1,700 per coin extra to be in this fund, which also charges you a 2% administration fee per year. So to me, this is not the way to go. I would much rather see you open an account somewhere and actually go outright and buy Bitcoin. Now, as Thomasina says, you're making me nervous. Good. Just be careful. This is one of those things where you can't nonchalantly think, oh, I just bought a couple shares on my TradeStation account of Apple. Well, it'll be there, right? I trust the back end. As Brendan says, you're now the custodian. You're self-custody. You're on your own. If you screw up in any way, you can't call up a help desk and be like, hey, so my private key, I lost that. What is it? It's done. That is destruction. Remember we talked about destruction yesterday. That's now being removed from supply, which is one of the reasons why I think a lot of these cryptocurrencies will continue to keep on moving because people are just somewhat careless. I already told you guys that, I've told that I'm condescending and arrogant sometimes. I'll tell you, I'm the dummy. I made the mistake with Litecoin. I literally threw away Litecoin on accident because I just had the wrong thing set up. I didn't have the private key. So it's easy to do. My recommendation, and I think Brendan, you also agree with this one, is as you are buying these things, you should kind of want to put yourself through a little bit of a checklist, right? Do you have the right account set up? I'm always checking the front end and back end of the accounts. As you'll notice on this piece of paper, if you're sending something to an address, I hope this shows up kind of clear. If you're sending something to this address, you can see over here, it starts with a 1-2 lowercase g, capital N, and it ends with a capital UV, lowercase h. So I always check the addresses. I'm not so concerned about the stuff in the middle because when you scan, I just want to make sure that beginning and ending is the same. Therefore, I know it read it right. Always check, double check, triple check. I can tell you, I sent 70,000 Litecoin or $70,000 worth of Litecoin to this thing. And when I first did it, I did it with one Litecoin, actually a fraction of a Litecoin, just to be sure. Exactly. Always do test transactions in a small amount. Man, I'll tell you, I did it with a small amount and it was okay. It went rather quickly. Everything was set. I repeated the transaction with $70,000 worth of Litecoin. And I'm telling you, like, my hand is shaking. I hit that button. I was like, oh God, this is 70 grand. If I could have sent it to anybody's wallet in the world. And said, luckily I sent it to the right address. So you got to be careful with that. But just do it slow. Don't rush. Brendan right here is a great point. The fees with cryptos are so low, depending on which ones you're using. Bitcoin can actually be kind of high depending on how busy the network is. When the network gets really bogged down, what happens is the miners will start charging higher fees, or actually people will be paying higher fees to have their transactions processed sooner on the Bitcoin network, and therefore the miners will select whoever's paying the most for the transactions. I know, Brendan, but there's the thing. I could have done it in 5 transactions. Shit, I could have done it in 7 transactions, but then I have to do it over and over and over again. I did the first one, it worked, and then I did the second one, but it's still, when you hit that button, it doesn't matter. You're still nervous because that's a lot of money, whether it was $70,000 or $10,000. Okay. So you guys all see why I'm telling you GBTC is probably not the way to go? Does that make sense? You guys can understand you're buying 1/10 or 1/1000th of a Bitcoin with GBTC, and GBTC, as you can see, is trading at 1320. That's 13,200, and Bitcoin itself is trading at 11,400. That's almost $1,800 difference. Okay, hopefully you guys see why I'm always skeptical on this one. It's a great vehicle to buy in, but if you are buying GBTC, you want this number right now on GBTC. If you were to buy at current prices, it should be $11.48. Then you're buying at the price of Bitcoin. That should be what you pay. Unfortunately, that's marked up because so many people are rushing to Bitcoin right now that these guys have inflated the price. That's what you get. Hopefully that made sense to everybody out there. Let me go forward here. Keep on rolling through our questions so I can get to the free flow at the end. Okay, this is an interesting one. Yeah, let me see. I'll do that one. Let's try that. I haven't actually looked at that one at all. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's go over here, and let's just go. It's LTCN, right? Okay, so let me see. I think I have LTC USD on here. I don't. Let's go LTC USD. So I'm going to add Litecoin US dollar over here. Right now, Litecoin, I don't know the math behind it. Right now Litecoin's trading at $56. So I'm assuming that my assumption is that this is half a Litecoin would be my guess. I'd have to look at it. I'm not sure. I just don't know the mechanics of that one, but I think it's probably closer to half a Bitcoin. I'll do a special on that one another time when I can go look at the math behind how Grayscale's doing it, but it's a trust, so I'm not sure. Yeah, both of these are trusts. It's still like Grayscale, right? Steve says, are there other Bitcoin options? Not really. Not with regards to buying Bitcoin itself. The only other thing that I think is as close as you're going to get is just sticking to the futures market, right? That's the way to do it. So I think people might be afraid of opening a crypto account. Don't be, right? If you want to feel safe and secure at home here in America, then open up a Coinbase account. If you want best pricing, access to more markets, you're probably best going to something like Binance. But again, that's an international brokerage firm. I still think that they are the best, but it's just iffy when you deal with somebody who's international. So not really many options that we have in that space. So sorry for that one. Let's see. The GBTC premium is where when I buy and I sell. So it can be OSH, or I could have... one sec. Let me go through these other questions. I'm doing everything live here, and I don't want to be reading all your questions on the air that are really long ones like that. Trent says, a lot of people think that Bitcoin will reach 100,000 in December of 2021, based on the previous 2 bull cycles. That seems to be the time when Bitcoin peaks out. The Bitcoin stock to flow chart shows that Bitcoin could reach $100,000 as early as August of next year. I'm wondering why you're saying 2023 is the year for me to reach it. It's called giving myself a bit of a buffer, Trent. That's really the reason why. When we look at the price charts here, this is what a lot of people are focusing on. They're going to go out here, look at Bitcoin, and look at the monthly chart, and I'll bring it up here. Here's your monthly. Okay, so you can go all the way back into 2011 on this bad boy. And it doesn't really seem like it's that much, but you guys see all on this hard left side, we went from just pennies on Bitcoin to all of a sudden we spiked up to, what was that high point? $1,000. So you went from pennies in 2011 to over $1,000 in 2013. And then it fell all the way back down into the $100 mark, which is actually when I first started really buying into this, which I'm pretty happy about. 250 was my first Bitcoin. So you went from 250, and then it spiked back in 2017 in December at a high price of about 19,666. But what's noteworthy here is this first cycle. Once it spiked in 2013, look, 14, 15, 16, 17. So basically 4-year cycles, it seems to have these big moves. Well, you did that. That first one was from 2011, spiked in 2013 late, 4-year drop. Now we're at that 4-year cycle. So what I think is interesting with this is it's not necessarily just the 4 years. And if I were to calculate 4 years from where it spiked, that'd be 2018, 19, 20, 21. So that's why a lot of people are focusing on December of 2021 as that next 4-year cycle, if in fact it is going to follow that 4-year pattern. I'm not so sure about it. What I'm more interested in is how all of a sudden, barring this one real big down blip here that we saw in March for everything, you can see that Bitcoin is actually making stair steps higher. It's starting to make higher lows. As soon as we get above this 14,000 mark on Bitcoin, I think you could see a real fast and easy shoot up to 20,000. And then from there, then you'll really start to pick up speed because we'll start to get that FOMO and a lot of investors going, uh-oh, I missed out. I want to jump on this train of Bitcoin. So it wasn't based off of technicals. It was, I personally thought we would hit it in 2022 sometime. But it could be anything. The more destruction of the Bitcoin we have and the more demand, the higher this thing's going to go. All right, what else do I have for you? Let's see. What makes buying a Bitcoin a better investment compared to investing in high-flying stocks? It seems like the risk and return can be similar, and at least with stocks, you own part of the company. That's true. The thing I don't like about... Well, there's many things I don't like about trading high-flying, risky stocks, and your rates of return might be as good. One of the founding things that I like about Bitcoin, or foundational things I like about Bitcoin so much, is its ability to max out at 21 million. So you look at what happened with Apple today. You look what happened with Tesla today. You're like, oh, well, Tesla only has 6 million shares. They just split. Tesla did a 5-for-1 split. So, now your $2,200 stock's going to be 442. You're not going to split cryptos. Now, some will emit more coins than their maximum, right? They can do that. Bitcoin, which is why I'm such an advocate for Bitcoin, is it's fixed. It's not going to change. So when I have that mathematical perspective and I say that supply, even though it was 21 million, once we get to that max miners thing, max mining out Bitcoin, the supply will continue to drop. Right now, estimates are that the maximum there could ever be are going to be 17 million. And then it might drop even further because of destruction. That's not going to happen with these high-flying stocks. So I have the element of destruction and fixed supply on my side with cryptocurrencies, at least with Bitcoin and some of the other ones. But do your research because some definitely change. Big M says it's hard to manipulate Bitcoin. I don't believe that it's that hard to manipulate Bitcoin. I think it's actually rather easy if you have capital. I can guarantee you, if I worked for one of these major firms like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, and I just said to my boss, hey, give me $100 million, and I can generate at least $1 million a day off of bumping Bitcoin and just moving Bitcoin myself. How would I do that? I go out with a market, so I got a $100 million account. I'll go to somebody like Coinbase. I'll go to Binance, and I'll have, let's say, 50-50 there, 50 million in each one. And I'll do a $10 million market sell order. Boom, I'll sell $10 million on both those exchanges, causing the price of Bitcoin to all of a sudden crater. That makes all of the little retail guys freak out. They start unloading because it's crashing. Then you come back in and you buy your $80 million worth and it just rips it back up. You can do that all day long in the financial marketplace, especially when you have the influence of a major institution to go out there and say, hey, we think you should be buying Bitcoin right now, right after they bought a whole bunch. Or, hey, we think you guys should be unloading Bitcoin right after they just sold all of their shares. So to me, that's it. What else do I have? Okay, that's it for the cryptocurrency side of things. Let me just go to listener questions here. Let's see. What about TradeStation? Yes, you can trade cryptocurrencies in TradeStation. You have to set up a separate account, but you just call them up and set up an account. That's no big deal. Why do they not cover BTC futures and OTA? Part of the reason has been this fear of a new asset class. And as a risk managers, one of the things that we're trying to do as an educational entity at Online Trading Academy is help people manage risk. to be honest, most people don't think about risk. I know many of you do because you listen to me, pound it all day long on this show, which is how dangerous risk is and how you got to be careful and manage it and stay on top of it. If you look at the average person, if they had the opportunity to buy 2 securities, and one gave them the opportunity to maybe make 100% rate of return this year, but there was a 30% chance they would lose everything that they had. On the other side, you've got one that says you could make a 10% rate of return this year, but you're going to lose maximum of 2%. Most people are going to run out and try to get that 100 grand or 100% rate of return and ignore the risks associated with it. So when you teach people cryptocurrencies, which at the point, I had built a whole class for Online Trading Academy on it, at that point was really a brand new investment vehicle. They were just a little too concerned that more people would be gravitating towards that and taking on too much risk. And we're really trying to make people manage their risk so they don't blow their accounts. That's the whole thing, is stay alive as long as possible, because the longer you stay alive in any asset class, the more you learn and the better you get if you're reviewing and going over your stuff. If a recession were to happen, what do you think would happen to the price of Bitcoin? I think it would continue to go up. I think that there's almost every argument for it going up. It's certainly that store of value that a lot of people are looking for. So I think you're going to see it to continue to head up. It'll probably have wide swings and fluctuations during that time, but long term up. Big Eb's is cool now to do with my 100 million. That's, yeah. Where's the donations, Big Eb? 100 mil? Come on, buddy. Throw a guy a bone here. How will Powell printing affect stocks at these insane valuations? Look, man, you guys know my opinion. I look at this and go, this house of cards has got to come crashing down. And let's see, since, I don't know, when did I start that S&P trading? That was like a $70,000 loss. And I put my money where my mouth is and got smoked on that one. It's okay, we'll make it back. But, at some point when this does crash, I hope that I got a nice sizable short position. I'll start looking at maybe, again, going short after, maybe sometime next week, actually. I think what you want to do is let the euphoria of the Apple split subside on Monday, let the euphoria of the Tesla split subside on Monday, and then start to see how the restructuring of the Dow does. And I'll explain this restructuring of the Dow here in a minute for those that might not understand what is happening. Yeah, I'm getting antsy too. I mean, it's so bizarre what's going on, especially the valuations of some of these companies. What else do I got? If you guys got more questions I didn't get to, go ahead and type them in now, because I'm going to try to, I'm scrolling back through, but you guys have been pretty active out there today, which I love. I love the activity. I just haven't had a chance to read through them all. Let me talk a little bit about, as we progress through this, let's talk about something that's very interesting that's going to happen on Monday. For those that you might know, Apple it just did their split tonight, right? So it closed at $4.99, which means we should see 125 prints somewhere around 125 Monday morning for Apple is the new share price, and there'll be 4 times as many shares out there. The reason that this is interesting is because you have 3 different market indexes that we like to look at, right? You have the S&P, you have the NASDAQ, and you have the Dow. The S&P and the NASDAQ are both market cap weighted. So it doesn't really matter if there's a split for Apple. It's not going to impact the S&P or NASDAQ at all. What'll happen, it's the only way it will impact the S&P or NASDAQ is because more people will look to buy Apple because it's cheaper now. It could drive share price up very quickly, thus increasing their market capitalization, and that would help increase those indexes. With the Dow, it's a bit different. Oh, Big Eb, I was totally joking, my friend. I was totally joking. You didn't need to do that. Big Eb, thank you for the contribution. I was totally joking. You don't need to contribute. I do appreciate that, though. But it shouldn't be at least a mil? I mean, what's on? You had 100 mil. Just kidding. Thank you, my friend. When you look at the NASDAQ or the Apple impact on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, this is where it is a big deal. The Dow is a price-weighted index, right? Meaning it's the price of the stock, and they have a multiplier that they use, which is really weird, and that part is a bit fishy. But Apple is the most expensive component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average at $500. I believe United Technologies is second in the $300 range. So the pull of Apple has been really what's been saving the Dow. It really has been saving the Dow because it's just gone, it's gone from 200 to 500 in 6 months. That's saving the Dow because some of these other companies are not doing the same performance. It also represents a lot of technology, right? It's a real big technology component of the Dow. So when Apple splits and goes from 500 to 125, its price point is mid-pack of the Dow 30. So its impact on the Dow is cut substantially. So what the Dow is doing is very interesting. On Monday, we're going to see 3 new additions to the Dow and 3 companies taking out. The reason for that isn't because those companies are necessarily underperforming. It's because they have to find a way to mitigate that risk of losing its top dog performer in Apple and find a way to replace that void. That void is going to be in the form of technology. So what they've done is, I know you're going to get all teary-eyed right now, they're going to remove ExxonMobil, who is, it's the oldest standing member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average in some way, whether it's ExxonMobil. 92 years it's been a part of the Dow. So I'm sure somebody in the ExxonMobil family is crying right now. If you, the second one that they removed, it was Dow, they removed Raytheon, and they removed, oh, come on. Damn it, it's in the back of my head. I can't think of the third one. Dow, Raytheon, you guys probably know what they're looking at. But anyway, I can't think of the third one off the top of my head. The beauty of having too much stuff in my head was Dow, Raytheon. I can't remember the third one. Sorry, guys. Pfizer. Thanks, Big Ab. That's what it was. Pfizer. So you're taking out a drug stock, an oil company, and you're taking out Raytheon, a technology, basically called defense stock. What they're replacing it with is CRM, which is database, right? It's customer resource management database software. That's great. They're also going to be putting in, man, my brain is just fried today. I don't know what's going on. They're going to put in Honeywell, right? Honeywell is a technology company, and they're putting in Amgen. So the knee-jerk reaction is interesting because Exxon's been there for 92 years. Raytheon got added to the Dow in April of this year. And I'm sure that the execs at Raytheon are like, yes, we made it to the Dow. You made it there for just a little bit. And now all of a sudden they're taken out, right? Just gone. Just move. Just take them out. So that shuffling is also going to present some opportunity because remember, any fund that's tracking the Dow has to now recalibrate for those 6 companies. Not only do they have to take out Pfizer, Exxon, and Raytheon, but they have to add CRM, they have to add Biogen, and they have to add Honeywell. And here's the wild card. What do they have to do with Apple? Apple, if you're tracking what's called a price-weighted index, you now have to remove some Apple to balance it out as well. So you could see Apple sales, yeah. Guys, I've only had like 2 sips. It was up to the top of the cube. I just have a lot going on in my head right now. A lot going on. So it's not from the drinking, but cheers to that. So that's it. I thought it was really interesting because that's a knee-jerk reaction to Apple. They did not need to reshuffle the Dow. They're only doing it because Apple is so big and powerful. It's now they need to find a way to shuffle that portfolio to get technology as a bigger representation of the pie. I thought that was rather interesting. Now, let's go back to this question here. Oh, I didn't even get the gentleman's name. I'm really slipping today. Is it more damaging to a company's stock if it's removed from the S&P 500 rather than being removed from the Dow? The benchmark, more often used to match the stock market, is the S&P 500. Not really. It's just damaging, period. You know, if you think about if a company is cross-labeled, so say, for example, you have Apple, right? Apple's a member of the Dow. It's a member of the S&P. It's a member of the NASDAQ. So if for some reason it was to start to get dropped from multiple indexes, now you're really looking at some bad news for that company. Now, oh, thank you, Joseph. I forgot to put your question on there, your name on there. Thank you. You know, if it starts to get dropped from multiple indexes, of course, that definitely means this company has some serious issues, right? There's some major problems with it going forward. But then you're going to see that selling come in. Years ago, I actually followed this up and started to do a little bit of research on it. And I found that there's this propensity for the removal of companies that are underperforming, right? So if you look at ExxonMobil or Pfizer or Raytheon, in theory, you would be looking at their price charts thinking they must really be underperforming the market because that's why they removed. This is not the case for right now. It has been in the past. And normally what happens is they've already sold off so much, that's why they're getting removed, right? They're underperforming. Then they get removed and it really tanks. It actually creates a great buying opportunity. I know it sounds really weird, but when you get something that's already on a big downtrend, and then they get removed from the S&P or the Dow or NASDAQ, whatever it is, it continues to push it down further. At a certain point, everybody's already sold it. right? It's been sold off because of its poor performance. Now it's sold off because it's removed from these indexes, and all of a sudden it can create a good buying opportunity. So keep an eye on those three that got taken out: Exxon, Pfizer, and Raytheon. There might be a good buying opportunity in there. Oban, you can get Joseph, you can get Oban 14 at Costco, I think, for $45 a bottle. Tasty stuff, I might. A little single malt scotch today. Whoop, whoop. All right, what else do I got? I think that's it for my questions. I barreled through all my questions. I'm loving it. What questions you guys have for me? I know there was some other stuff drifting around. I thought it might be, as much as I can get to listener questions here, that's my goal. We already answered Brian's question, so I think I got you guys all covered on the question front. What else do you want to know? Why do you think we're headed for a correction with all this money printing going on? It's a good question, Jay. I don't think that our economy is as healthy as the markets are telling us, right? I think right now what we're having is a significant disconnect between economic growth and equity market growth. Equity markets, all-time highs, right? You look at unemployment numbers right now. Next week, one of the major announcements is going to happen on Friday, and basically what they're going to tell you is unemployment. Unemployment spiked up. We were looking at 13, 14, 15 range, but it's been dropping for the past few months. Last month was 10.2%. They're expecting 9.8%. That seems like a great improvement. But remember, we're way above normal. We were down in the 3% range. Now all of a sudden we're like cheering because we're at 10%. 10% unemployment and you have a market all-time high. Something's broken. A lot of the manufacturing data has been better, but it's still not very good. So a lot of the data to me I think it's a little bit misleading. The economic perspective, the macroeconomics, still show weakness. A lot of these companies have adjusted their earnings estimates and forecasts for COVID, and now all of a sudden, it almost seems like everybody is beating earnings. I think I mentioned it was like 83% or 81% of companies that beat earnings this year in the S&P 500 and 60-something% beat on revenues. That's crazy when you have a market that did what it did. So there's something that's rotten in Denmark, right? There's something that's rotten in these markets that's not allowing this market to fall, and that rottenness is called the Fed and government. They're going to continue to keep pushing it up. You can continue to, if you do it from a bad analogy, like a drug addict, right? A drug addict will just keep taking the drug until they can get that same high, but every time you take that drug, you need more of it the next time to get that same high. And I think we're in that situation here with the markets. I mean, the amount of capital and money printed to boost this market to where it's at is literally off the charts if you look at any historical perspective. So we haven't seen the negative side of it yet. I think it will come, and it will come aggressively. It's going to be really bad. I just don't know when. I was really hoping it would have happened in August so I could have been July, so I could have capitalized big time on my put position. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. I'll be there again next time it happens. Mike says, what's your outlook for cannabis stocks? It's been sideways, yeah. If we look at the cannabis stocks, I still am bullish long term. I think, like I mentioned before, I believe what's going to happen in that whole industry is consolidation. God, it's right near that. We talked about this level as a breakout point too, right above that 12.65 a long time ago. God, it was back in May. I think what you're going to start to get is more consolidation, just like we saw with the brokerage firms, with the internet companies, etc. You start to see other companies buy other ones out, and I think that will be what happens, and that will lend to more profitability. Oops, I didn't show you the chart. There's MJ, which is an ETF that manages or that tracks kind of the cannabis industry. It hasn't been looking that great since June. It actually started to rip up. I think we were talking about it above 1260. That's why that line is still there. It ripped above it, looking great. Now just slowly drifting down. So long term, I still am bullish. I think you really need to be careful with that one. I mean, it's obviously could continue to go down, but it's like saying alcohol sales. You think they're going to drop? I think if people get more and more depressed, they're drinking and smoking more. It's the Vice Index. NYC real estate is terrible, Joseph says. I'm trying to get some real estate guys on this program. I really want to get Diana Hill or Zanny Pattison on the program. I'm trying, guys. I think that there's pockets of real estate that are going to do exceptionally well and some that are going to do like unbelievably bad. To me, if you look at the commercial real estate side of things, I think that is setting up to be really, really ugly. I've just, in simple walking around and driving around through some of my areas I go to, I've seen a ton of buildings with for lease signs, more than I've ever seen. Why? Because a lot of these businesses are like, I can't stay open. You can't come into my gallery. You can't do this. we're seeing the numbers from COVID deaths drop significantly. That's starting to trend down. The number of reported cases is trending down. It seems like everything's kind of okay with regards to COVID. At least, doesn't seem like it's that bad. But still, a lot of these companies just suffering badly, and I think the commercial real estate market will be pretty bad. Yeah, my dad, he wouldn't come on the show. He's a residential real estate agent. You want to buy a home in the wine country? You want to go to Sonoma County? You want the best agent out there? That's my dad. I mean, that guy knows that Sonoma County, Napa County, inside and out. But not so concerned about the retail market yet. He's really focused on one area, whereas like Diana Hill knows the U.S. altogether. So, Miami real estate agent, yeah. Many info investing in real estate for income is greatly appreciated. You know what? I'll see if I can get... So Zanny Patterson, I think you guys saw him when he was on Power Trading Radio years ago. That's what he's doing now. He was doing classes, teaching real estate. Now he's a flipper. And maybe I can have him walk us through that process of what it is. He called me a couple months back, was showing me his new property, and it was kind of a cool thing. It's not like the TV shows where they fix and flip in like 3 days. That doesn't happen, guys. That is absolute Hollywood magic BS. You don't tear out all the walls, redo all the electrical and the plumbing, put on a new roof, you redo the driveway, furnish the house, do all the finishing touches in a week. It does not happen. You don't even get the permits in that amount of time. Even if you get them all ahead of time, it would take too long for that. So, no, actually, J. Rob says property is probably cheap with all those fires. It's the exact opposite. I sold my home in Northern California, I want to say 3 years ago after the really bad Sonoma fires. Basically, got a significant amount of extra just because of the demand, right? When you have fires, what happens? It burns inventory, and then the people who lost those homes are now looking for more homes. So you have an increase in demand and a decrease in supply. What's going to happen to the prices? Whether it's physical homes or land, people are just trying to buy something. So it actually boosts prices in those markets, the more homes that get burned. I know it seems weird, but that's what happens. It actually drives prices up. So you're looking to buy property cheap in a fire area? That ain't going to happen. It's going to drive prices up. All right, what's the guy's name that spoke about spread trading with options a while? Brent. I haven't had a Brent on the program. The spread trading with options? Quite a few. I mean, if you think about the credit spreads and things like that, that would be Tim Blotzer. Blotzer was one. There's a few of, yeah, probably Tim Blotzer. Hey, let's look at airline stocks. I haven't looked at airline stocks in a long time. Let's not look at... How about CCL? That's not an airline stock. I'm just curious. Yeah, Carnival still just dead in the water. I honestly cannot believe that Carnival Cruise Lines or Carnival Corp is still here. Yeah, Brandon Wendell's a spread trader, but that's more futures. Brandon Wendell will be on Tuesday, guys. So Brandon's going to be on Tuesday on the show, so I'm pretty excited about that. He was just back from vacation. Beautiful vacation. So we'll get Brandon on. Yeah, we'll talk about that on Tuesday's show. Monday's going to be Tilly. Tuesday will be Brandon. Airlines, let's go to AAL. They're still beaten down, but I tell you what, I am definitely of the belief that there's going to start to be a surge back up in airline activity. I don't see, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are, out there traveling and reading probably more. I try not to follow all the news and stuff like that. It just drives me nuts. But with regards to COVID, the main reason we have airlines is dead in the water is COVID, right? No one wants to travel. You can't travel. Airlines are shut down. Flights are limited. Got to wear a mask and seats are limited. I have friends that have been traveling that say that the airlines are absolutely packed. No middle seats saved. It's just packed. If that's the case, and we start to kind of realize that, this may not be that bad and we go back to normal life, these guys are all at a big discount here. There's American Airlines. I'll zoom out a little bit. Let me go to... Let's go weekly, just so it looks a little bit cleaner on this chart. And there's weekly going back into 2017. So there's American. Let's UAL. So there's United Airlines, still very undervalued. Still $37. It was $90 back in January. JetBlue getting better, still down about 50%. LUV, one of my favorite companies out there, Southwest Airlines, still $38. It was at $60. So, there's I think plenty of opportunity to the upside here. It's just, do you have to ask yourself, do you believe that all of a sudden we're going to start to see a new wave of COVID and the death spree just really starts to spike? Or is this all just starting to fade a little bit and we realize, okay, this is like a very serious flu, which seems to be very the same symptoms. It's just some people are going to be affected more by it. So, I don't know. I'm starting to feel actually bullish on airline stocks. Someone put in Jets in there. Check out Jets ETF. Sure, Richard. Why don't we do that? Jets, Jets. Sorry, not a Jets fan, by the way. So, if you wanted to spread it around a little bit, here's your Jets ETF. Why not? I haven't looked at the volume on this one. So for me, as an active trader, I got to know that. Oh, plenty. Oh, this is weekly. Let's go daily. Oh, yeah. Plenty of volume on this bad boy. But, look, if you look at what we talk about so many times in this program, is slow move up, right? Right now, it's making higher lows, and it just looks like it's starting to make higher highs. So it's starting to build strength and actually looking pretty good. Yeah, with a mortality rate of less than 1%, look, nobody wants a mortality rate. Nobody wants to die from this thing, and I know some people are. Usually it's someone with a predisposed condition or the elderly. I've had several friends, and Trent says you recently recovered. Glad you recovered, my friend. Good to have you with us. Yeah, you're also 31. That helps. I don't want to get it, but if I do, I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to exercise and stay on top of things. But, if I get it, I get it. I just don't want to keep living in fear like this has just been spreading. It's ridiculous. I want to get back to normal life. To me, this isn't living when we're just can't go anywhere, can't do anything. So let us live our lives and take that risk if I so choose to. Yes. Well, Joseph says flight attendants and pilots are being laid off. Absolutely. It's certainly the number of flights are down. I think it's like 50% of the flights of normal. But still, there's still business going on. So. Surrendra. I like that. Nice name. Merlin, historically, have the equity markets been disconnected from the economy for too long? I'm the wrong one for that, honestly. I'm not looking so much at historic trends with regards to... I'm definitely wanting to look at historic trends of the market, but in relationship to how it did to economic performance historically, that's a little bit beyond my brain capacity, especially for a Friday afternoon. Okay, what else you guys got for me? Any other last minute questions here? Might actually finish. Oh, God, we're almost at an hour anyway. I'm done. Let me go to the economic calendar here and just show you what's happening on Monday. Here's your economic calendar for the 31st. Barring a 7% sell-off on Monday's activity, August will be an up day. Or August will be an up month. Only really big thing happening next week, or at least Monday, will be this. Cash rate for Australia. Right now it's looking at about 25 basis points, which is in line with expectations. So that's the expectation. No big changes expected for Australia. It'll really be about that rate statement. Again, that will happen long after we do this show. Right? We have 9:30 p.m. is when that one comes out. All right. Guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to end it before an hour here unless you guys got some last minute questions. Again, Tilly Allison will be on the show Monday. Brandon Wendell will be on Tuesday. I haven't even looked for guests for Thursday or Friday or even Wednesday. So if you got ideas, maybe we'll get it's Don Fraun in here. Come on, Don, you come on the show next week. He can boast about how great your Facebook call was. He's been killing it on that Facebook call. Nope. Richard says I attended Scott's Beck session last night. No, I didn't. I've been real busy. This has been a really crazy week for me. I guess that'll do it. All right, everybody. Cool. I will definitely enjoy my weekend, guys. I hope you all do as well. Go out there and have some fun. Enjoy our lives because we all seem to be working our butts off to live. Let's go enjoy some of that. I will see you guys on Monday. Adam asked if any way I can go over the tape, as some people call it. You know what? Maybe I'll do a special show on that one next week. Tape reading is a lost art, and right now, because of all the things that institutions can do to disguise their orders and remain anonymous, it's not really the same thing it used to be. I was a tape reader. It's what I did. It's not the same. But maybe we'll dive into that and I'll explain why next week. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to send those on in at TraderMerlin.com. You can also put your comments down below the video, as a bunch of you did last night. Appreciate that. I will get to all those on Monday's show. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. And don't forget Tilly's thing on Sunday where she talked about market levels. It's been pretty damn good. See ya.